All right, so boys and girls, with math, we have actually finished the first chapter. So the first chapter, we learned about numbers 0 to 5. We know now that 0 is nothing at all. So when you don't have anything at all, that number is going to be the number 0. So we learned 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that means, boys and girls, sometime next week, we're going to have our first math test. So when we have a math test, that means that we go over, we review what we have learned with all of those math ideas that we've been doing these past 2 weeks. So I know one of the ideas that might have been a little bit tricky for you boys and girls was knowing how to make the number 5. So if you remember, there was the group of yellow counters and red counters, and we had to have 2 groups of them, and we had to make the number 5. So I'm gonna help you boys and girls figure out different ways of making the number 5, because it's very important for you to know this for the math test next week, okay? So what I'm gonna show you is this. Let me stand at the smartboard. I'm gonna draw 2 hands. So I'm gonna draw my left hand. Not gonna be perfect, but I'm trying my best. So that's my left hand. And then this is gonna be my right hand. Okay? So I wanna make the number 5, but I have to have my 1 group of yellow and my 1 group of red. So in 1 group over here in the left hand, I'm gonna put 1 red. So 1 red. So actually what I need to do is I need to make the 5 frame. So let me make the 5 frame. Okay, so I have 1 red. 1. Now, the rest of the 5 frame is going to be yellow. So I'm going to make it yellow. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to label it 1, 2, 3. What? See, even teachers make mistakes. 3 and 4. So one way to have a group of 5 is you can have, I'm going to put R for red, and I'm going to put Y for yellow. So I can have 1 red and 4 yellow. And is a sight word that we're also going to learn. So to make the number 5, you can have 1 red and 4 yellow. But that's not the only way to make the number 5. So what I'm going to show you is this. I'm going to erase the yellow. I'm going to leave the red. But what I'm going to do now is, instead of having just 1 red, I'm going to have 2 red. So now I have 2 red. So now the rest of the 5 frame is going to be yellow. So that's 1, 2, 3 yellow. So another way to make a group of 5 is to have 2 red and 3 yellow. But there's other ways to make the number 5. So I'm going to erase the yellow. I'm going to keep the red, but this time I'm going to add 1 more red. And the rest of the 5 frame is going to be yellow. There we go. So now I'm going to label 1, 2 yellow. So now for red, I have 3 red, and for yellow, I have 2. but I'm gonna show you other ways. So now I'm gonna erase the yellow. And I'm gonna add one more red. So now the last in the 5 frame is gonna be yellow. So now I only have one yellow. So now I have 4 red and 1 yellow. But now I'm gonna show you something that's a little more advanced, but I want you boys and girls to learn this. You can have one group of 5, and in the other group, you don't have to have anything. You'll have none, which will be 0. So I'm gonna get rid of the yellow, and I'm gonna make that all red. So now I have 5 red. And do I have any yellow? Nope, I don't have any yellow. So when I don't have anything, that number is going to be 0. So that's another way. Now, what if I don't want red? Maybe I want all of them to be yellow. So I'm going to erase the whole thing. I'm going to make my 5 frame to be all yellow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm going to label it. So now I don't have any red, but I have 5 yellow. So what I'm going to do is, let me bring this down a little bit. I'm going to write that I have 0 red and 5 yellow. Look at that, boys and girls. Look at all the different ways that we made the number 5. So you can practice with your hands. That's why I drew the two hands there. In one hand, you put 1, so 1 would be red. And then the other hand would be 4. So everyone show me 1 and 4. Put your hands up on the screen. Show me one hand with 1 and the other hand with 4. So you're going to pretend that the 1 is red and the 4 are yellow. So when you put them together, you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See that? Now let's put 2 in one hand and 3 in the other. So now you have 2 red and 3 yellow. But now we're going to change the number. Now we're going to do 3 red and 2 yellow. 3 and 2. So now first hand it's 3, the other hand it's 2. But I'm going to change it. I'm going to have 4 red and now 1 yellow. So all of these ways still give me 5, but now look what happens. I'm gonna put my whole hand out, but in my other hand I have nothing. So I have 5 red, but 0 yellow. Now what happens if you close your hand and open up the other one? Now I have 0 red and 5 yellow. Okay, boys and girls? So I wanted to show you that, so that way you know the different ways of making the number 5. Okay, so I'll put up this presentation on our Google Classroom, so that way you can practice making the number 5 at home on your own. Because making the number 5, on the exam, on the math test, they will want you to figure out ways of making the number 5. So I wanted to show this to you, so that way you can practice it, and that way you could get better at it, okay?